Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, as we are doing this showcase of the independents, and each day this month we are profiling an independent company and their best matches from 2023. So on January 1, I did GCW Game Changer Wrestling. On January 2nd, World Series of Wrestling. On January 3rd was the Wrestling Revolver. Today, January 4th, will be House of Glory. So, House of Glory is out of Ridgewood, New York. It is actually owned by two wrestlers, the Amazing Red and Brian XL, who actually have been tag team champions this year. They're actually one of the better tag teams. The House of Glory heavyweight champion is Mike Santana. The House of Glory Crown of Jewel champion is Carlos Ramirez. The House of Glory Cruiserweight champion is Nolo Katana. The House of Glory Tag Team Champions, or the main event, Jay Lion and Midas Black. Now, 1 year ago, the last match in the career of Jay Briscoe was actually at House of Glory, where the Briscoes put over the main event and the main event won the tag titles their first reign. The House of Glory Women's Champion is the Ultraviolet. So in 2023, the House of Glory, go ahead and pull this up here, had 75 matches, 65 men's and 10 women's. So we're going to run down the top 23 matches of 2023. So number 10 on the list comes from House of Glory. With Glory comes Pride on March 10th. House of Glory World Tag Team titles on the line. The champions, the main event, Jay Lion and Midas Black. Defend the titles against the Bookers, Amazing Red and Brian XL. The main event retained the titles there, 3.5 star. Also from House of Glory, Glory comes with Pride on March 10th. Number 22 on the list for the House of Glory World Heavyweight title, champion Jacob Fatu going against Fred Rosser. Jacob Fatu retained his title in a 3.5 star match. Number 21 comes from House of Glory Fallout on September 16th. The House of Glory World Tag Team titles on the line, champions the main event, Jay Lion and Midas Black going against the Vaudevillains. Yes, the Vaudevillains that were in NXT, Matthew Rainwall and Simon Gotch. And they lost to the main event. 3.5 star match on that one, and main event retaining their tag titles. Number 20 comes from House of Glory Friday the 13th, October 13th. Minoru Suzuki versus Charles Mason. This was a non-title match at the time Charles Mason was a Crown and Jewel champion. Minoru Suzuki took it to Charles Mason here. I give it 3.5, but I probably could have went higher because it was pretty darn good. Charles Mason plays such a great villain, and Minoru Suzuki just chops the living hell out of him. 3.5 star with Minoru Suzuki getting the victory. Also from the Friday the 13th show, number 9, the House of Glory Cruiserweight Championship, we had champion Nolo Katano versus Michael Fain, and Nolo Katano got the victory. I gave that 3.5. On number 18 on the list, from House of Glory, the Darkest Hour, December 1st, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Swerve Strickland. Whose house? It's Swerve's house, because Swerve got the victory over Speedball. 3.5 star match. Number 17 on the list comes from Glory, the House of Glory at the beginning, February 3rd. House of Glory Cruiserweight Championship on the line. Mantiquil versus Noah Katano, and Mantiquil get the victory, 3.5 star. Number 16 from Glory, Planta Plomo. We had the House of Glory Crown Jewel Championship on the line. We had champion Charles Mason versus El Hero del Vikingo. Vikingo won this by disqualification after Charles Mason purposely got disqualified to retain his title because he knew he couldn't beat Vikingo. I gave it 3.5. Number 15 from Glory Planta Plomo, we had the House of Glory Cruiserweight Championship on the line in a 6-way scramble match. Champion Joey Silver versus El Troubadour versus Jay Bougie versus Raheem Royal versus Ben Ruda versus Darren Richardson. Joey Silver retaining his title in a 3.5 star match. Number 14 comes from House of Glory Intensity X on August 18th. House of Glory Crown Jewel Championship on the line. Champion Charles Mason versus Masha Slamovich. Masha Slamovich is just a beast. She took it to Charles Mason here, but that with Paro in his corner and as what's what I'm looking for, conniving as Charles Mason is, Charles Mason was able to retain his title there for a 3.5 star. Number 13 also comes from Glory Intensity X for the Cruiserweight title in a Suicide 6-Way. Champion Joey Silver versus Super Crazy versus Isaiah Cassidy versus Jordan Oliver versus Noah Katani versus Raheem Royal. And new House of Glory Cruiserweight Champion in the Suicide 6-Way was Noah Katana in a 3.5 star match. Next up, House of Glory World Heavyweight title on the line from House of Glory Beware the Fury on May 19th. We had champion Jacob Fatu going against Matt Cardona. Yeah, that guy, the quote deathmatch king who was in one death match. Unfortunately, he beat Nick Gage in that one death match. Now he won't keep his mouth shut. Yeah, that Matt Cardona. Unfortunately, Matt Cardona became House of Glory World Heavyweight Champion, 3.5 star. Number 11, House of Glory Beware the Fury on May 19th. House of Glory Women's title on the line. Champion the Ultraviolet versus Mia Yamashita. The champion, the Ultraviolet, in retaining her title, 3.5 star. Number 10, House of Glory Beware the Fury. House of Glory Crown Jewel Championship on the line. Champion Charles Mason versus Jake Something. Charles Mason was able to retain his title there, 3.5 star. Number 9 comes from House of Glory. Glory comes with pride. We had Loki versus Kushida. Kushida getting the victory over Loki in 3 3/4 star match. Number 8 comes from the Darkest Hour on December 1st. House of Glory World Heavyweight title on the line. Champion Matt Cardona versus challenger Mike Santana. A new House of Glory World Heavyweight Champion Mike Santana in a 3 3/4 star match. Number 7 also comes from the Darkest Hour. The House of Glory World Tag Team titles on the line. We had the main event, the champions, Jay Lyon and Minus Black, going up against the grizzled young veterans. And Liverpool's number 1, James Drake and Zach Gibson, 3 3/4 star match. The main event retaining their tag titles. It is great to see the grizzled young veterans back on the indies and doing things throughout the Northeast and in UK. Number 6 also comes from the Darkest Hour, December 1st. Suicidal 6-way scramble match. Gringo Loco, Joey Sweets, Blackman, Raheem Royal, Jay Inari, and Jody Aru. And Gringo Loco getting the victory there. I give it 3 3/4 star. Number 5 comes from Planta Oklahoma on June 16th. Speedball Mike Bailey taking on Noah Katani. Noah Katono getting the victory there over Speedball in a 3 3/4 star match. Number 4 comes from House of Glory Intensity X on August 18th. The House of Glory World Tag Team titles on the line. The champions, the Bookers, Amazing Red and Brian XL, going up against the main event. And becoming two-time House of Glory Tag Team Champions, the main event, Jay Lyon and Midas Black in a 4-star match. And number 3 on the list, House of Glory Beware the Fury. The Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, taking on the main event, Jay Lyon and Midas Black. 2 of my favorite tag teams in independent wrestling right now. 4-star match in the main event, winning that one. And then number 2. Number 1 beat number 2 out by that much. Number 2, House of Glory Fallout, September 16th. Low-Key versus El Hero del Vikingo. Vikingo getting the victory in a 4 1/4 star match. And number 1, for some of you House of Glory fans, you might be a little shocked here, but number 1 comes from House of Glory, the Darkest Hour, December 1st. House of Glory Crown Jewel Championship, Falls Count Anywhere, champion Charles Mason versus Carlos Ramirez. This match went all over the arena. This match just was non-stop intensity. It was the darkest hour for Charles Mason and Paro. Charles Mason losing his House of Glory Championship to Carlos Ramirez. I gave it 4.5. That's actually one of my favorite matches of the year. Charles Mason, that character that he plays, just that methodical, almost assassin-like. He's got Paro with him. He has Billy Dixon with him at one point in GCW, and he's done all this, and he's Richard Holiday with him now, and he's just very methodical in what he does, and just kind of that. I mean, it's unless you've seen it and understand it. I mean, he does the same character throughout the shows. All the shows he's on. So in GCW, House of Glory and stuff. But those are the 23 best matches from House of Glory. As we go through the showcase of the independents, we're going to can't talk. Been up since 1:30. Had to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling Kingdom 18 live. So yeah, a little tired. But yeah, so we're profiling the independents, 31 independent companies here in January, and we are number 4. So we got a long way to go and a short time to get there, but we're going to profile them all. Some great independent wrestling here in 2023. Can't wait to see what 2024 brings. As always, thanks for watching the Robert Sports Show, and don't just have a great day, have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader, sports channel content.